non-profit organization who bears the aim of bridging the gap between undergraduates and the corporate world. KLM was started in the year of 2016 in the University of California with the intention of grooming the professionalism of the undergraduates. Then, according to our year plan of 2020, we have planned a series of sessions known as STEP-led STAR series, specifically tailored programs to take our members from the zero stage to the ultimate goal of professionalism. So today, you have joined the fifth step of the STEP series after successfully finishing 4 sessions before. I hope you are all doing good and stay safe. So to enlighten us about the important concept of event organizing tactics, we have invited the best panelist who suits our requirement. She is none other than Ms. Yamini Pereira, the project coordinator of Sri Lanka Development Journalist Forum and an expert in the strategic and operational planning of major events. She is vastly experienced and engaged as an advisor on a number of major projects and events, guiding right owners, organizing committees and host cities on the optimal approach to event planning, delivery, and legitimacy. As always, just a quick reminder before we get started, keep your mics muted throughout and videos off unless you are going to address the audience in order to have minimum disturbance as we are having the session online. If you guys have any questions, feel free to write it in the chat box located on the right side of the screen. We also invite you to type in your doubts anytime during Ms. Yamini's presentation, and I will address them to her, as she can answer them as we go along. Good afternoon, Ms. Yamini. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Sashri, and thank you very much for the comprehensive introduction. And good evening for all these lead members and all these undergraduates who joined us today. Despite it being a lazy Saturday, thank you for joining and allocating your time. So I need to give you a very, very gentle request. I don't want this to make this a lecture, because I want event planning is something very practical. So I believe when it comes lead, people should be more active, and even other people those who are in other clubs, they should be very active. So I want this to be very interactive. As Sashri clearly mentioned, you can drop your whatever your concerns, your questions, your comments. Even you can interrupt me if you don't agree with me. Just type anything. We'll make it as interactive as possible, because I want to make this more like a discussion rather than a lecture. So today I'm going to brief you about what is event management and how can we plan a successful event. You don't want to have an event planner even to dream your wedding. You will understand after this session that you don't want to have an event planner. So all of these people here, I believe you all are from different universities, planning, engaged with different works in different clubs. So I hope this session will awaken your minds. I know the situation in the country is not very good to have physical meetings, physical conferences, but there will come a day that we have to do this. So I would like to request, get the maximum you can. You can interrupt me with questions, ask anything that is related to the topic, as Sashri mentioned. So we'll start with, I have prepared a small presentation for you just to have the flow. So yeah, we'll start it. I will share the screen. Just let me know whether you all can see the screen. 3 major parts, such as special events, corporate events, and public events. So what are special events? You have heard this word. I know everyone might have heard this word everywhere. But you need to know these terms very well if you're going to organize an event. So what are special events? Special events are the things that we have. If I'm to give you examples, it can be weddings, it can be festivals, those fall under special events. And then the important thing, you all are undergraduates, I know that. So after these 3 or 4 years, you are stepping out of the university and you are hunting for jobs. It can be corporate sector, it can be the development sector, whatever the sector you join. If you are an active individual, you will have to organize even at least a simple event or a workshop. So what are corporate events? What falls under corporate events? I think most of you all have seen corporate meetings. It can be a foreign trip, it can be
Excuse
a
me, Ms.
meeting.
Yamini. Sorry for the interruption. We can't see the PPT. We can just see a gray screen over there. It is yet loading, I guess, for us.
Okay. From my end, it's is it okay now?
It says that Ms. Yamini has started a PPT, but yet it's a gray screen. I can see the your screen now, but I can't see the PPT.
Okay. Can you see it now? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Is it the problem with everyone? Oh, now you can see it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, all right. So I was talking about corporate events. Please, if you can't see the screen. I was talking about corporate events. What is corporate event? I know most of you all, especially those who are studying in the management faculty, those who are doing marketing, they are to join, even those who are doing like social sciences or humanities, they can join the corporate sector, because most of you guys are very keen to join the corporate sector, which is very competitive outside. So corporate events, there it's diverse. It's a different aspect. You can have corporate meetings with your clients, both in the country and beyond the country. And then you can have conferences. Conferences, as in where you can promote your business motives, business morals, or business ideas. So these corporate events fall under those categories. And then you get public events. These are mostly the concerts that you find, those high level, musical concerts, and then road shows. Those things come under public events, which are very high level events. So I think in your level, it's mostly what you have to plan is corporate events as as people who are following your career path, corporate event and special events. So I hope all of you are clear what an event is and what types of events majorly that you will have to overcome, like come across when planning. Okay, I hope you all can see this. So it says, it's a beautiful quote though. A successful event management is like directing a live theatrical performance with the event manager as the director. For an event, for a successful event, there should definitely be a very, I may not use the word skillful, very active when it comes to organizing an event. So when you are doing event management, have you all seen what a theatrical performance, or we'll call it a drama? If the drama is not good, and if the actresses didn't deliver the message that you were expecting, right? What would you say going home back? Like, we didn't like that show. It was in vain. We should have done anything else. So the same thing applies if you don't organize the event well. So we as human beings don't want to hear that. So that's why you need to plan an event very well. A good theatrical performance is based on the sweat, commitment, and their practices. So in the same way, for a successful event, you need to have a very rigid plan and the event coordinator should be exemplary. And then I will move to the slide.
Just before that,
Key
I have a small
elements of
question,
event
Nandini.
management. Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
meeting deadlines is a significant aspect of time management, right? So in that case, have you managed like more than one event at a time? If so, like, can you share it with us? I mean, your experience and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sashi. And obviously, an interesting question which draws back my memory to the time where I was at the university. So this was back in 2016 when I was in my third year. I had this very challenging task to, while being an team lead in a particular project, a youth empowerment project. In that same project, while overlooking the activities of the project where we had to deal with the European undergraduate for like 3 weeks, while coordinating the project, I had to organize, because I was the organizing committee president for a youth search forum, which was a very challenging thing. And in the same time, I was doing a diploma and I had to understand what my situation was. So I am a person, like, I know you all are the same. So I'm a person who, like, if I was assigned a task, I want to do it with my maximum, the level best I could. So this was a very challenging thing. I knew I need to plan everything. So what I did was, I know I had to, plan multiple things. So what I did was, first you need to understand what the timeline is. Once you understand the timeline, and suppose this particular event, you need to decide when are we going to have this event. And then from that day backward, you need to plan everything. That's the main point that you all need to take into mind. Firstly, you need to understand what the deadline is, like what the date of the event, and then from don't miss even a minute thing. You need to plan backward and then work according to that. And another major thing is to delegate work. Being a coordinator does not mean you don't need to do everything. You have the responsibility to train others. Otherwise, you are not a successful coordinator or a team lead, because being a team lead or coordinator is inspiring others. You can't demand them. It's a subtle way of inspiring them, just a way of inspiring where they can learn after looking at you. That's how I learned, because I had a wonderful mentor with me by that time. So by looking at her, I learned many things. So for your answers, Ashri, I think it's clear. You need to have a timeline. You have to, like, recognize what the timeline is. And from that date, you have to plan backwards. You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll move on to the elements of event management. These are the principal elements you all need to keep in mind. And I have figured out those after working in couple of, like, multiple projects and events. First, you need to identify what are the objectives of your event. No, it's not just, jotting down something to get the sponsors or just to impress people. You need to sit down with your team and just brainstorm what actually you want to achieve from this event. And just sit down and think, will this event be really helpful for the people who are coming? Like, will this be eventful for the society? Will this be you know, a talking point where people can learn things? You need to sit and think about that. Now, for example, suppose you are asked to design a project or an event for the mental health day. So you need to you are asked to select some random school children under this X number of age. You are asked to select some school people. So you need to sit back and think. You can't just jot down something, okay, now we are going to have this event for these people. You can't just have these fantasized objectives. You need to sit down and think, why are we doing this? How will this project be benefited for these people, these children? And in return, how my team or the society will learn from this. So for that only, you need to understand what the objectives are. And then you need to establish a timeline. Now, for instance, the importance of a timeline is that you know where to start and where to end. If you don't have a deadline, if you don't set a deadline and then just work, I'm telling you can't do an event. So better to set a deadline, and from that deadline plan backward and mention every small thing, even a small deco or even the role of a computer. You should mention everything in your agenda, in your checklist. So timelines are very important in that. And then managing the budget, which is the most important thing. You can't do anything without a budget. Like, because none of you are going to spend your personal money for an event. So it's very important to decide on the budget, because one thing I should tell you is that you should always plan a project or plan an event with your budget at hand. You need to have a rough estimate. Meet the people, meet the vendors you need, meet the sponsors. Just talk with them, and then you should have an estimated budget at hand. Otherwise, there's no point doing a event. Then you can get an idea, okay, for this particular thing, we might spend this amount. For this particular thing, this amount. So that you have a rough idea that how can you manage your activities throughout the process. So it's very important to have a budget at hand, a rough estimate of the whole event. And then the logistics. You need, for a successful event, you need to have a splendid venue. If the venue is not comfortable, or if the venue is not good, not sound, the whole event would be void. It would be useless, because I have to give you a kind request. The participants, please mute your mics, otherwise others would distract from it. Thank you. And then it's about logistics. Then an important task is to delegate the tasks. This is a major responsibility of a coordinator. So it is not demanding tasks. You have seen such people, like, you can't demand people. It's just a nice way of inspiring people. A successful coordinator should be able to delegate the work according to the person. You need to scan the profile of these, people in your group, and then delegate the work accordingly. And then you have to monitor whether this is being done, whether this is completed, what's wrong with her, like what has prevented her or him to do this task. And then in a subtle way, you can motivate them to do the task. That's the task of a coordinator or a team lead. And then another very important thing is managing risk, because we are not anticipating risks, especially now. For instance, what happened today, like when we are dealing with technology, we know unexpected difficulties. We have to face unexpected difficulties while we are doing an online virtual event. It's not a problem of us sometimes, but still we are facing those challenges. So it's the same with a physical event. You will face numerous risks. So it's very important to identify what are the risks. Even though you have planned it very well, very smoothly, like everything is very clean and tidy, still, I'm telling you, there are challenges that will come on the day of the event. You have to anticipate that. And then for that, you need to have a backup plan. In our language, we call it a backup plan. You need to have a backup plan. Okay, what if this happens? What if this speaker cancels our event? What if a power failure comes? And what if the computer is not present? Something unavoidable could happen happen in the last moment. So what are we going to do? Do we have a person for this? These are the things we need to think about. And then I would call a successful event management is like a blend of skill, and it's an art. I'm calling it an art because once you start loving it, I believe that once you start loving what you do, it comes automatically. You are doing it with passion, so you can do it successfully. And I've told it's similar to choreographing people and activities to carry a spectacular show. What are our feelings after we visit a very wonderful musical show? What is the feeling that you all are getting? It's wow. Now we are going to, like, we have recollected many memories. It will last evergreen in our mind. The same thing should happen in a successful event. It should be like I earlier said, a very wonderful, fantastic theatrical performance where people like will memorize it and where memories will remain in their mind. And now I hope until this moment, like everything is clear for you all. If you have any question, please drop your questions to Sashri or in the group so that Sashri will direct it to me. And now I'm going to talk about basic event specifics. Um, what are the basic event like steps that you have to um, understand when organizing an event, whatever an event? I think firstly, you should be able to understand about the event goal. What is the goal of this event? What are we going to achieve from this? Now, if we are planning, now, for instance, I may say, this is for International Women's Day. We are talking a lot about gender discrimination. So you're going to plan an event based on that. So we need to understand why are we going to plan this? What is the goal behind this event? If it's gender discrimination, we'll say sexual harassment in workplaces. So if you're going to plan a workshop we'll call it a workshop, why are we going to plan this? You need to jot down that. So for that, firstly, you need to meet people, whether this is a real problem. If this is not a real problem, there's no point organizing a workshop or a discussion. You need to meet the people, talk with them. Is this a real issue that what we are going to do? We can do anything ceremoniously. We can do anything with glitz and glamour and then wrap up and go at the end of the day. But if it's not beneficial for the society or people, anyone would not accept this event. So I'm telling you, when you are, don't do things for the sake of doing. Just sit with your team and brainstorm what are the real goals, what are we going to give the society to this. And then objectives. These objectives should be tangible, measurable objectives. Now, for instance, I'll take the same example. If it's about, we are talking about sexual harassments in our workplaces, what are the objectives of having such an event or a workshop? It can be to educate young people or young, what do you call, new people who are joining the career field that such thing is existing. And interestingly, what I identified recently was that some people sadly doesn't know what sexual harassment is, both men and women. They don't know what that means even. So for that, to identify these things, we need to talk with people. We need to, pitch the ground to understand these realities. If it's a problem, yeah, all these objectives should be tangible, measurable ones. And then date of the event, which is very important. When you're planning the event, the first thing to do is you need to set a date. As I said, as I was continuously reporting, from that date, you need to plan backward. Everything. You need to, every small element you need to include in your plan. And another very important thing is, who is our target audience? Now, for instance, here, I know many of you are undergraduates. We need to think about, when you are planning an event, who should we invite for this event? Because if you plan an event and call an audience now, for instance, you have to plan an event about corporate sector expectations of corporate sector expectations for undergraduates who are in final year, who are in the final year. So for such event, if you invite for school people, will it be beneficial for them? No, right? It's not beneficial for them. So for these things, you need to invite for the such event, you need to invite undergraduates in their third or final years, or second year, even first year, second year students are okay, because from another 3 to 4 years, they are going to step out of their university seeking for jobs. So this is very important. You need to identify who your audience is, their age group, what are they doing, like are they will they benefit from this program, and will they learn some from this program? You need to deeply. So if I'm to wrap up, you need to have a clear goal, and you need to have measurable objectives. You need to have a particular date for the event and the target audience. You need to have a clear idea about that. I hope everything is clear up to this point. So we can move on to the next step. You need to set clear objectives. I'm going to elaborate on this because this particular thing, objectives, is very much important when planning an event. I have divided it into 3 sections. One is the agenda, the preparation, and then the actions. For sure, we need a proper agenda to plan an event. Why do we need an agenda? If we are preparing an agenda, we need to answer 4 questions. What are we going to achieve from this? When are we going to have this event? To whom are we doing this? Or whom are we inviting for this? And then allocate the responsibilities accordingly. Thing, preparation. You can't do anything without preparation. Even writing an exam, facing an exam, or facing for a competition, or what do you call, any other thing, for everything, you need to be very prepared. You can't do anything without preparation, unless you could be very genius. In the preparation stage, you need to sit with your team, and the whole team should know what are we going to do in this. After 2 or 3 days of preparing the agenda and all, a team member can't say, oh, I didn't know about this. Like, I didn't know about this component. What is the role? What are we going to achieve in this component? I didn't know about this speaker. Why are we inviting her or him? Such things should not come out from your team members. Every person should know what their role is, and also they should know what others are doing. I mean, not in detail, but even in general, you should, like, everyone should know what others are doing. You need to involve everyone and then ask them to contribute even their role, and then once their role is completed, they can step out of their comfort zone and help the others as well. That is a very plus point of a good event management team. And then I would move to action items. Action items, I mean, this is a very important thing. It is said that, saying even action speaks louder than words. You need to show it in action. You can have a very nice plan, you can have a very nice agenda, you can have a very nice lineup of programs on a piece of paper, but if you can't implement that, there's no point at the end of the day, because no one will benefit from this. Having paid a huge amount on an event would not work if it's confined to a piece of paper. You should more focus on the action items. So everything should be recorded. Like, it's very important to have a clear-cut plan with the event coordinator. This person should do this, and this is how we are going to do this particular section. Everyone should have a record on that, and then allocate responsibility. If a team consists of 5 members are going to plan an event, each 5 of them should have a very sound knowledge about their responsibility and what others do, and then work towards completion of tasks, keeping in mind what the deadline is. Okay, now I'll move. I would like to ask this question from you all. Up to this point, you've got something about what event management is. So analyzing those facts, do you think you are ready to plan an event? Now, I may say, are you a good event planner? So if so, I'm happy. If you're a good event planner, you should have these 4 key points. One, strong organizational skills. I mean, we all do mistakes. We all are human beings. It's natural to do mistakes. But the very important thing is you need to learn from mistakes. You need to have very strong organizational skills that you improve from practice. You need to do things. If you are in the same place and just writing down things without any action items, you won't learn anything. You need to think out of the box and move out of the comfort zone to grab every possible challenge. I'm telling you this with my very own experiences. I'm a person who anticipates challenges. I like challenges because I may say, if I was in a club, being just a member doing what was allocated to me, it's very good to be in a club. That I should admit that. If I was doing the same thing, whatever a task allocated to me, just completing it on the deadline, I won't learn anything. I need to move out of the comfort zone and then think what I can learn from these things, move out of it and get the challenges. Like do challenging things. Don't stay in your comfort zone. And then the second thing is vast and engaged network. If you are a good event planner, you need to have a good network. Suppose you were asked to plan an event in the next month or in the coming months. For this, you need to identify speakers. If you have a panel discussion, panelists, a moderator, a keynote speaker. If you don't have a network, if you're not a social person, a sociable person, you don't know who are we going to invite. Now, for instance, if you're going to invite for a speaker, you should, now, for instance, we say it's about corporate sector expectations. So at a jiffy, in a second of time, you need to, like, this person should come into mind. Okay, this particular person is the best fit for this keynote speech. And this particular person is very good for moderating this event. Like, in a way, you should, like, in a minute, this person should come into your mind. To do that, you need to move with people. You should have a very good network. Being in in your comfort zone, in the same place at your desk or wherever your club is, you won't meet people. You have to move outside, talk to people, talk to corporate people, talk to resource persons from different sectors, meet people. And whenever you meet a people in an event, just try to talk with them, network, just try to incorporate what are you doing, like what work you do, and then try to create an image in their head. Try to have constant contacts with them. Try to keep this advice as youngsters. Like I was in your place 4 or 5 years back, so I know it. I'm telling you, try to create an image with them. It will be beneficial. Who knows, they might like inform you if there's an, for instance, we'll say if there's a vacancy in their company, or if there's an event, they would call you. I mean, you should have this bond. Then only it's very easy to plan an event. And then the third point is creativity. You should be very creative. You can't have a very narrow mind and do things. You should always, don't always see things in a narrow angle. Just try to get international exposure. Try to explore what what's the structure of an international event. You don't have to visit, but just go through those social media platforms, see how these people are doing those events. It's not just what do we call, it's not just copying an event, but get the idea and get those exposure. Try something new, what others don't do. Try to add something new into your event. Like, think out of the box. You should be very creative if you are to gain the attention of people. And then if you are to make a lasting impact on the people, a particular event should be very special. For that, you need to incorporate creativity. And then the resilience. This is a very important thing for a good event. I may call a super event planner. Resilience is, you do mistakes, there comes very difficult, very challenging times. But a very, what do you call, a very successful event planner will always learn from those mistakes. They take every difficulty as a challenge and then face the upcoming things. The important tip is, don't repeat what you have done twice. A mistake should not be repeated twice. You should learn the mistake, sit down and think why this went wrong. This can be applied to your life as well. Don't do anything twice. Just sit back and think. So I think if you have these 4 points, you are a fantastic event planner. You don't want to hire an event planner in whatever thing in your life even. I think I'm giving this advice very cordially. Try to incorporate these 4 points into your lives, and then I think you can succeed in whatever way. And then I hope it's clear. And then another very important thing, an event planning checklist. What is a checklist? Like, I hope some of you might very familiar with this term, what a checklist is. Are you all maintaining a checklist when you're planning an event? If not, you have to do it in future. If you're doing, it's very good. So for a successful event, you need to have a checklist. This is very important. Why do we need a checklist? There are two major aspects. Just to get an idea about what are the key deliverables of this event, and what are the key activities. Now, please understand, these two are two different things. You need to identify what are the key activities that we are going to do in this event, and the key deliverable. What will the people learn from this? What will we learn? What will the society get? We need to identify these two facts before planning an event. So I have divided into two categories. What are the key deliverables? First thing is the budget. As I explained earlier, you need to think about the budget. You don't plan an event without a budget. Now I know, be it LED, ISEC, Rotaract, or whatever club you are in, first you need to have an idea about the budget. If you don't have a budget, you can't do it. So because for sure you need to reach out for sponsors, you need to reach out for companies, corporate people to get your sponsorships. So for that, you need to identify, okay, if you're going to have this particular workshop about, and we'll see, this is about workshop about giving leadership qualities for young people. If you're planning such a conference or a workshop, a one-day workshop, you need to identify what do we need. How much will this event cost? You need to have a rough estimate, and then only you have to reach the sponsors. Otherwise, there's no point. Because in the project proposal, you need to mention what are your packages. Are we going to a platinum package, a silver package? That depends on the budget, amount of money you need to spend on this. And then even venue management. Venue management is very important, as I said. If the selected place is not good for the participants, if they are not comfortable, and if it doesn't cater to your needs, there's no point doing the event. Then the people are not happy, even the organizing committee is not happy. So to avoid this, I'm saying you it's very important to have a suitable venue. That's very, very, very important. And then sending invitations. This is very important. Why do we need to send invitations? To whom are we sending the invitations? We are sending the invitations for the speakers, the panelists, and the resource persons, and the audience that we are expecting. Through an invitations, what we are expecting is to inform about the event. What simply, a very simple thing. Now, we'll get a simple example. Why do we send wedding invitations to our relatives? So we can think, okay, they are relatives and we don't want to send invitations. Why are we sending it? Just to give an idea of what this is and where it is happening, who are coming, and then finally the agenda. This is very important because an agenda gives you an idea like to the speakers or the resource persons what is going to happen in this event, what is the flow of this event, what are they going to cover in this event. So it's very important to have an agenda at hand when you're reaching your sponsors. So these are the key deliverables of an event. Now I will move
Sorry for the
to the
interruption, Miss
key
Yamini.
activities.
I just have a small
Yeah.
question popping out in my head. Like, I just
Okay.
wanted to ask this when you're talking about the budget. Like, have you ever gone like over a budget? And like, can you share the experience with us? Like, how did you manage it and stuff?
Okay. There has been a couple of times, but I should say this. It is, before answering your question, it is very important, as I was continuously saying you, plan for the budget. Like, do your activities, plan your activities. You have to cut unnecessary expenses, and always keep in your mind, we should aim for this budget. This is the budget we have. So I may say, if we exit, there comes like where unexpected things comes. Now, for instance, if you are doing an event, a power cut comes, and we might sometimes, or we'll say some equipment has broken, or we have to replace it like on the spot at the same event. So what happened? It's an unexpected expense. We have to anticipate those. We can't help. And then even it's a power failures or whatever, unexpected things might happen. So it's very important to sit, and after the event, when you're evaluating what happened, if the budget has exceeded, I'm giving you the first tip is calm down, don't panic. Now it's over and we don't have anything to do. Just sit down and note down what went wrong and what are the unnecessary expenses we have done. Note down those and then try to analyze them. Why this expense happened? So in the same way, try to replace it with another thing. Like, try to replace it with a low budget thing. Okay, why should we spend this much of money for a particular task? And then you might think, okay, we have spent less amount for this, like less than something we have budgeted. So you can replace it with that. Or if your vendors or your sponsors are in good terms with you, if you can negotiate with them, you can talk to them. If they are not ready to negotiate, we can't help it. But if they're very friendly and if they negotiate, if they understand the situation, you can always reach out to them and have it like run smooth. So my advice is, always, as undergraduates, I know the situation, try to plan it for the budget. Don't exceed it so that you can avoid unnecessary drawbacks that will happen after the event. So I think, Sashri, I answered your question. And
Thank
then
you.
I will move to key activities. I was talking about key deliverables. Now the most important thing, activities. These are the action items. I very much prefer this word. So activities, I have divided into 5 main categories. First thing is the marketing and the PR activities. For a successful event, you need to have a very rigid marketing plan and PR activities, as I said. Marketing, in the sense, it should be banners, the file or the stationery that you are going to give the audience, and then every promotional material. It can be a promotional video. It should be very catchy. It should not be something ordinary that we see in our day-to-day lives or in our day-to-day events. It should create a lasting impact on the mind of the people. Oh, whenever you get something in your hand, a promotional material or a promotional video, they should think this is something different. This is really good. This is something different. I have never seen this. If you hear those words from the audience, you have succeeded in your event. This should create last. For that, you need to have a very good marketing strategies and even PR activities. You need to reach out for, in order to reach out speakers, you need to identify the best speak for the event. If the speaker is, for that you need to do a background check. What is the speaker good at? If a particular speaker is good at leadership qualities and what you call corporate sector related things, there's no point inviting him for a development sector work. You understand what I mean? So for that, you need to do a scanning. You need to scan people and choose the best pick. That is the secret of a successful event. And then sponsor management. In order to reach the sponsors, as I said, you need to be very different. You need to convince the sponsor. If I'm the sponsor, if one of you come and say that I'm in this X company, so if you all come and reach me and give me the event proposal, after going through 2 or 3 pages and after reading the objectives and the description, I should understand, oh, this is worth spending this event. You should give that idea to the sponsor. And also, you can't reach out whatever the sponsors you want. There should be 2 things to consider. We should mutually benefit. It should be beneficial for them and also for us, both sides. If it's related to something like, as I said, leadership development or something like that, it's important to reach companies who are, go in line with that, where they can benefit from our people. Like we'll say, this particular company is going to recruit skillful HR interns or management trainees. So we have to aim such groups if you're going to gain sponsorships. Okay, we have this particular people who are doing these kinds of things. You have to create a very good first impression to your sponsor. This first impression matters a lot. If you are able to create a very good first impression, that will last long. And be mindful, maintain it even during and after the event. It is your responsibility, if a sponsor gives you a sponsorship, to give the best deliverables from this event and you make your sponsor happy. And at the end, a society should also gain something from your event. And then delegation. This is a activity that should be mastered by event coordinators. It's not about doing everything alone. Being an event coordinator, you shouldn't do anything alone. It's a matter of delegating the work to the appropriate person and then monitor what's happening. And if something goes wrong, it's your part to ask them how we can adjust it. If this thing happened, how can we settle it? It's a matter of good delegation. And then volunteer management. This matters if it's a high level event, if it's a high profile event where you need more people to overlook things. Because I remember back in 2016 when we did this youth surge forum, we need to get volunteers to overlook things. This is for registrations. It can be for registrations, overlook what's going on with the audience if they have questions to attend to them. And then for simple activities, we need volunteers. So volunteer management is very important. You need to convince why we need volunteers and how are these volunteers going to benefit from them. Do they learn something from that? You can't just hire volunteers for the sake of volunteering. Even I remember like we wouldn't go for volunteering work if it doesn't give anything us to learn. So you need to keep that in mind. And then registration management. It again comes under volunteer management. So I think this is pretty much clear for you all. You need to very well sit down and understand what are the key deliverables and key activities of an event. It's a very tedious thing. Planning an event, a successful event, planning a very good event is not easy. It's a matter of sweat, commitment, energy, and the amount of creativity you put on this. And most important thing, it is a result of a good teamwork. You can't say that this particular team member didn't perform or didn't do this well. It's not an answer. You should anyhow get it done, and you should, as I said, not demanding. You should inspire people, make him or her likely to do this thing. Create that passion within them. It's the role of a good event coordinator. Okay.
There's a question from the participant, Miss
Had
Yani.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can go ahead.
well, you're asking is marketing and PR directly falls under budgeting. That is a question related to the last slide, right?
Sorry, marketing and PR.
Directly falls, does marketing and PR directly falls under budgeting?
Okay, thank you, Sashri. So it's like this: budget. The budget, what I meant by budget is the overall cost that you spend for the whole event. Marketing, it can be like, now for instance, if you have marketing, you say get some promotional video or promotional flyers or promotional whatever thing you do. If you have a talented, or what you call a skillful person who could do this, you don't want to hire a person from outside. You don't want to outsource people. So my advice is, try to find resource persons in your circle where you can cut unnecessary budgets. You don't want extra event planners. You don't want extra, what do you call, IT or com specialists. If you can find them within your team, I'm talking about when you're planning an event as an undergraduate. If you can find them within your circle, you don't want to spend that extra amount to them, right? It's a matter of a teamwork and what you're doing for the society. So I mean, it doesn't directly fall. If you are outsourcing it, yeah, it will fall under. But if you're getting it from your circle, I don't think it should go under the budget. It's a matter of volunteering and the consent of the person who is committing to this. Even PR activities, no. I think, suppose for instance, if you are a Toastmaster, if you're in a Toastmasters club, you know what the people are. There are some people, some resource persons, if they are very passionate on a subject, sometimes they don't, ask for a cost and amount. They don't consider financial concern. I mean, it's not a matter of getting people free. It's a matter of time, their energy, because they spend a lot of time to prepare these speakers. So it's not good to, let them go home without any financial reward. But there are people who are very much, when they're passionate about what they're doing, they will like come and contribute to it like without having any financial concerns. So I don't think this PR and marketing should directly fall under budgeting. It depends on how you plan the event. As I said, if you're getting people in your circle, I think you can minimize every, what you call, unwanted cost. I'll move to the next part. I wonder whether any of y'all have seen what a checklist is. I know most of y'all are planning events, planning workshops. Have you all maintained a checklist? I would like to see your answers for this.
Yeah, guys, you all can drop your answers in the chat box.
Maintain a checklist? I want this to be very interactive, so people, please drop your answers. As I said, you can always interrupt me. You can object to what I say. You don't want to agree to everything I say. You can say anything. Just, I want to know whether you all maintain a checklist when you're planning an event. Have you all planned events so far? I think I should answer that question first. Says these days checklists are maintained in Google Sheets. Yeah, you can maintain a Google Sheet as well. Okay, many says yes. Good. Okay. So most of you are giving positive answers that you're maintaining a checklist, which is a very good thing. And if you're not doing, it's worth to maintain a checklist. Why do we need a checklist? I will show a sample checklist for you all now so that you can have an idea of what a checklist is. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen, Miss Yamini.
Okay. So this is a sample checklist. I'm just giving you as a sample. This is a sample checklist.
We can't see the checklist, but we can see
The PPT.
yeah, not the PPT, just a screen with gray patches here and there. Is it only
Okay.
from you? Okay.
Give me a second. Now you can see, right?
Yeah, I can see the file explorer. I mean the tab, but I can't see
Event.
the checklist. It's very small in the right hand corner. Have you?
Give me a second.
Guys, can others? Can you all see the
Can
checklist,
you
or is it
see
only me?
what the checklist? Yeah.
Y'all can tap in, please.
Checklist is in the right hand corner as a small window. You can see the file explorer in the full screen.
Okay. Still, is it unable to see?
Yeah, we can see it now. Miss Yam, you can go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. So this is a sample checklist. Sorry for the interruption, guys. This is a sample checklist. I mean, if you can maintain such a checklist, this is a very comprehensive checklist. I'll go like step by step. You need to have this kind of event template either in a Google form, as I think one has mentioned that they're maintaining a Google document, which is very good. You have to give access for the like for all team members, and you have to monitor that where like because people know what they are doing. I mean, through this event planner checklist, you have to give a brief introduction about what this event is, and then step by step like about the coordinator's information and what are his or her tasks. And then here these are the tasks plus delegation. Now, for instance, if you're planning an event, which is related to, I get the usual example about, inculcating leadership qualities among undergraduates, you need to first identify what the audience is. So it's here under the task column, what is the audience and who is going to fund this and what is the sponsorship details and what is the location that we are going to have and so on. You can build what are the important elements of this event. So in that you need to mention what is the deadline, and what is the who is responsible of this task, what is the deadline to complete it, and the status, whether she or he has completed or it in due date. If a particular person is unable to or weren't able to complete a particular task on a given date, you should always, the event coordinator or the team lead should quickly attend to it, because it's a matter of getting like things delayed, because we are working for a larger deadline, we are working for an event, because we have planned a deadline from like planned the event from the deadline of the given event. So if something is delayed, it will affect for the entire format. So I am just giving this information. It's very important to maintain a checklist and work for the deadlines and ensure that each participant is, doing their job well. So this is just a simple format. And then after the event, there's a post-event evaluation as well. Because running the event and having a very great day, one day event or a series of events is not the thing. You should have a post evaluation. If you don't evaluate what you do, you don't know what went wrong, you don't know what you need to improve. So it's very important to have this section. I mean, this should maintain basically by the event coordinator. Post event evaluation, I can send this document through Sashri or a member of the lead team. Post-event evaluation is very important. Like, what were the objectives you met, right? And what were the budgetary concerns you met, and what exceeded, or what we spent like less, what exceeded, and what are the positive outcomes. We always like to talk about positive outcomes, so we can start from that. What were the positive outcomes, and what were the feedback we got from the audience? Was it good, average, or bad? And then in the same way, you can have a post evaluation segment for this event template. I mean, this is very important to main this, where you can categorize it before the event, during the event day, and then after the event. You need to have a record of what every minute detail of the event. So we'll move on to the presentation again. I think up to this point, everyone is clear of what we discussed.
Guys, we need you all to respond. Just a thumbs up at least.
I think lead members should be more active than this.
That's a question on fixing date and time slot.
Sorry, you're not clear.
Sorry.
So, could I ask a question on fixing date and time slot?
Yes, you can go ahead.
I had an experience about
I think it's not clear.
Yeah, sorry, your audio is not clear.
Oh, if you can type the question, because there's a sound coming in.
Can you hear me?
You're audible, but we can hear an extra
like your voice is breaking. That's the thing.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you can go ahead. No problem.
Hello.
Ashri, I think it's best to get like his question written on the chat box.
Yes.
Otherwise, it would be. You can ask him to type the question.
Yeah, I have dropped him a question.
Others, please try to come up with your questions. I know like you're organizing events, and unfortunately with this COVID thing, you will not be able to do it in near future, but you will have to do this. So I want you all to be more interactive. Like, I know those who are in clubs, they are very active. So why?
So there's a question from a person, like he's asking, how can we start up an event organizer without having a mentor?
Sorry, how can we start?
As an event organizer without having a mentor?
Without having a mentor?
Yeah.
Okay, a good question. Why can't you be a mentor for yourself? Okay, for that, a good question though. This matters if you're planning an event, a particular event for the very first time. Suppose that if you don't have experience of what you have to delegate or what is the role of an event coordinator, then this would be a problem, honestly. But if you have been engaged in this stuff, you don't want to be exactly an event coordinator, but being a member of a club who is active in the activities that you're doing, you know what happens. You have seen how your seniors or how your counterparts, how your colleagues do things. You know what the process is in an event. For that, you need to like actively engage. But if you're doing it for the very first time, it's a matter of confidence that you have. Because I know as an undergraduate, when you're doing things in an undergraduate level, for sure there are people to support you. Like now, if you take your OCP, there are vice presidents and even the president who will overlook the whole process. So those people are mentors. Like you don't want to have a particular mentor, a person titled mentor to do things. It's a matter of learning things. Now, for example, you will not ask to do an event or coordinate an event if it's your very first project and if you're very new to the team, the club. So these things are delegated when you're like when you gain some sort of experience, when you reach a certain limit. So then only they allocate the thing. So I don't think you need a particular mentor to have for this particular event to overlook it, but it's very important to have feedback of others, feedback of especially who have involved in such events, who have experience in such thing. So I would say if you're, it's a matter of confidence, as I said. If you're confident to do the event, just get one of your, what do you call, if you're in a club, I'm saying, get one of your vice presidents or who is capable of doing it to advise you, to just to overlook whether the things are running smooth. You can have a vice president or a senior person in the club to overlook whether the flow is running, because unless you do it alone and learn it, you will not gain that confidence to do, even if you move out of the university. When it comes to the corporate sector, or what do you call, when you are working for a company or an organization, then definitely you will have to do things alone. There's no such people called mentors, I should say that. But there are people to support you. Now, for instance, if you are a, we'll say, project manager or such, there are, it could be the director, it could be the overall, what you call, the program manager. Those people just overlook the things and just point out, okay, this particular thing, there's a mistake in this, there's a, I mean, that's the most important thing. You need to grow up alone. You can't rely on a person. It's important to have a separate person to overlook it. But in an undergraduate level, you don't have to like hire a specific person as such called mentor. You can be your own mentor. And but it is necessary to get a person who has experience, who has done such things. So one of your vice presidents can involve with this. You can work closely with such person. I hope it's clear. Sashri, is there like other questions? Any other?
I have one question, ma'am. I
Okay.
have organized a few events in the uni and um, in collaboration with 5 other unis as well. And
Mm-hmm.
when organizing events with them, one problem that I have encountered is that after organizing the event, gathering the organizing committee to evaluate yourself is quite hard. So in
Okay.
that case, because you mentioned that it is very important to evaluate yourself and evaluate the budget and what were your um, uh, problems and feedback from the people, I think it's very hard to uh, get the people together and evaluate again, because sometimes it feels like the morale is gone and that the spirit is gone afterwards, because uh, they think that it's over now, and that's the normal attitude of people after organizing an event, because they think that okay, now the hard part is done. So what should we do in order to get the people to evaluate themselves?
Yours, Leisha, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. A very good question, I may say. Thank you for asking this,
Thank
which make me think that you are engaged in work actively. Thank you for asking this. A very good question, Leisha. I would say what your point is really valid. I know the situation, but my advice is, as you said, once the event is over, yeah, people dust their hands and they go, okay, we have done the what you call the hardest part. Now we have to move on. But would you think in your view, isn't it good to sit? I know it's very difficult, but I would advise don't wait until a week pass to talk about it. I know it's difficult. Now, in my current workplace, what we do is right after like I'm usually conducting workshops, or I'm working with grassroots level organizations. So what we do is after I've been the like team lead in several workshops. So what we do is I didn't feel the importance of it until I did this activity, like I did this thing. After each workshop, suppose you finished a workshop yesterday, you can't do it today. If it's if you have a capability to do the work evaluation thing today, if it was over yesterday, it would be ideal. What we usually do is, usually we go on a weekend. So if we end a particular workshop on the previous day, don't wait until a week to evaluate what happened. Just try, make it compulsory to the whole team within maybe 2 or 3 days maximum. After, if you can do it that day, I know it's not practical. Thinking practically, it's not very practical to gather the audience on the same day. But if you can do it right after the event, maybe 1, 2, or 3 days after maximum, don't wait until a week. Just anyhow make it compulsory, make it a virtual discussion or a physical. If you can't meet physically, if you don't have time, make it virtual. It's a matter of like 30 minutes or 45 maximum minute meeting. Just sit with them. I am telling you, this is very important. I didn't feel it until the moment we did start, my director like did this continuously. So now we automatically, I arrange the meeting and call them. So, I mean, the importance is you get to know, I know, when you do an event like in an average manner, you get this feeling, oh wow, I did this, now the hardest part is over. But no, still there are things to learn. You do it once and see, you will not regret doing it, and it's the perfect way of learning. A good learner would do that. I mean, one who have practiced this art don't have any trouble in organizing event. Just 3 days or 2 days, maximum 2 days after the event, gather the whole team. I mean, the whole organizing committee, even the photographer, if he was in your organizing committee, just call him or her as well. Get the people around and see, like closely observe. If you're the event coordinator, you have the checklist. So talk about one by one, organizing like registration or before the event. Promotional materials, did they cater your message? What was going on social media? You need to do this. This is the most important thing. Social media campaigns today, it plays a huge role, social media campaign, because everyone is on social media despite their age, generation, everything. Everyone is on, you know, our grandmas are also on Facebook. So everyone is on Facebook. Those campaigns, the responses they give is very much important to, you know, identify what, where is our event, where was it, what we have progressed. Just allocate one person. I know there should have a person, separate person to handle social media platforms. So keep that person to evaluate before the event for the promotional flyers or the videos. How was the engagement? How many people have at least liked the flyer? How many people has, you know, approached to comment? How many people has shared those? And the most important thing, the comments. How many have, you know, approached to comment this? And the other thing is, don't keep your social media platforms without responding. If a person responded, respond to them, reply again. If they ask a question, respond to them. Then only the engagement increases. And the other thing is, before the event and on the day of the event, you should have a good social media like reach. You should post. Now everyone is on Instagram. You can just do a boomerang, or just do a, you know, a short video. I mean, without just promotional flyers, sometimes just do a social media, I mean a video by a member or whoever else, put it on that day. And then after the event, what was the engagement, what are the comments that they have put after the event, evaluate everything and then note it down. Sometimes if it's difficult to note it down, note down the most important things, and then go to the registrations. Was it done? Was there any trouble? Sometimes we face many troubles during registrations, but we tend to forget it after the event. We don't pay attention on it. I mean, it's very wrong. Just note down. As an event coordinator, you should spot everything. You should be a good observer. You should keep it on mind. Registrations, this didn't go well, this particular volunteer, I mean, it's not just about naming or shaming a person or just fault finding, but everyone should learn. So it's very important to keep this on mind. And then during the event, refreshments, did it go well? And simple things, I mean, speakers, did she or he arrive on time, and was it successful as a speaker? What were the comments we got from audience? Whenever a speaker comes, when looking at the audience after a 10 or 15 minutes, we know whether the speaker is good or not. Looking at the audience, we can guess, we can somehow get an idea, okay, whether these people are happy with the speaker, whether they gain something. We could see it from the faces, whether it was good. And then timing, whether the activities were going according to the agenda on time, what went wrong, why this particular, whether the laptops were enough, the resources, whether the microphones are okay, sounds, audio, visual, everything you need to sit down and analyze. Once you analyze, only you get to know, okay, if this was done like this, if we planned it like this earlier, we could have minimized this. You tend to think that, I mean, do it once and see, you will see the difference. I mean, it's very important. Even in our life, when we do something, I mean, suppose you fail an exam or you get repeated of an exam, if you just forget it and, you know, focus on other things, or just again start, you know, learning the same paper without any understanding, you won't get the gist of it. You have to just think and see what went wrong. Why did I got repeated in this paper? What went wrong? Why couldn't I do this? I mean, you need to analyze. Without analyzing, you can't move the next step. There's no point doing it. A good learner, a good event coordinator should learn from the mistakes, should analyze the things one by one, and then move to the next step. Then only you are a complete person. I hope I answered your question, Sleesha.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I
Just as a
will
comment, I
move on
just want to
the-
mention, we do this as a culture in like KLN. I mean, we just like you said, after every event, we used to like note down every what we did and what we should improve and all the stuff. I just want to mention it.
Okay, it's really good. I mean, it's a mark of, what do you call, mark of development, I may say. If you are to develop as a character, you should learn your mistakes. Unless you learn those, you can't move that, you can't keep that step forward. There's no point keeping that step forward if you are not a learner. So yeah, I'm happy with lead then. So the next step is, if you're an excellent event coordinator, make sure to have these things. Again, the same thing I'm going to elaborate on. Everyone in the team has a clear idea of what is needed from them. As I said, you need to sit around the team. No matter the photographer, no matter a person is doing a very small job, I mean, even creating a flyer, the designer, everyone should know what is this. For example, for the designer to design it, he or she should know what this event is. Now you all are planning, the organizing committee, we may say the event coordinator, we'll say who is in charge of logistics and the marketing specialist. and the com person, if only these people sit together and organize everything, plan everything, and then you all want to make promotional flyers for the event or the promotional video. So without involving those designers and the photographers and other people, you just go and give the content or whatever the videos content, you have to design it. Will he or she be able to do it? No. He or she should have an in-depth knowledge of what he or she is doing. Otherwise, how can he or she design? That's common knowledge. You have to get involved like everyone in the process. And even the content creator. If the content creator is not aware of what she is doing, she can't create the content. You can't get the best out of what you want to do. So, I mean, everyone should be a part of the process. So I believe this will be very important for you all. Even when you're working, you'll feel it, because this is not the same world that we see in the university when you are moved out of it and when you work in organizations, which is really different. You have to be independent.
Excuse me, Miss. We can't see the paid presentation. It's in a corner in a small window. We can see the file explorer in a big window.
Give me a second.
Yeah, during that time, Madhira, I guess you have raised your hand. You can type your question or you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, you can speak up. Anyone who want to talk, they can speak.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, hello. I had a question on asking about fixing date and time. Can I ask it now?
Yeah, you can ask.
Yeah. As an event coordinator, I had experience when fixing a date. And at that time, I fixed the venue, but then for a date and time. But then I asked from the resource person that he told me that's time and okay. But when I asked about other resource person, he was not okay with that time. So then I changed the time, and both resource persons were okay. But then again, venue is not okay. So I think you can understand what is the uh, conflict there. I mean, what
Yeah,
is the how to tackle those kind of situation? I mean, what is the correct order to because we can't change several times the date and uh, time slot with the resource person, because they will also get confused. So what is
yeah.
the
This is,
most
you said, yeah, you said now when you talk with one resource person, he or she accepted, and again when you talk with another, she was not okay with it. Is it?
yes, but we have to fix one good time and date for the event.
Okay. Now suppose you are going to have the event next. I'm just saying next. We'll say next Friday. Just an event. I'm just getting an example. So today, one speaker accepted your what do you call uh, invitation to participate in the event. So what you can do is, now you talk to other person and he or she is not okay with the date. The best thing to do is consider the deadline. Consider a deadline, and if you feel that particular person is very important, and if you think you can find another resource person who is much better than him or her on the particular date, I may say approach for another person. Like, you can't take a risk. If one person accepted, if the other is vague, or if he or she is not accepting the participation, I may say don't waste time following up, because they are busy people. These people are very busy, so they get unexpected things. I may say move. That is why you need to have a list of alternatives. If this particular person doesn't accept, or he or she can't come, who is the next person that we are going to approach? and he or she should be equally important as well. So I may say, don't go after looking at the deadline. If you have time, it's okay. Just give them a deadline. I mean, you can't demand them, but you may say, dear, sir or madam, now it would be very much grateful if you can just communicate in emails. Don't get the confirmation like orally. It is much appreciated if you can confirm your participation before this date, like, or on this date. We would be really like happy if you can confirm it. Get it in written, and then if you think this is too late to go after this speaker, just drop him or her. I mean, if you have already informed, tell that this is the thing, we need to finalize the speaker, so we will take you to another event or something else. And then reach out to the next best alternative. Confirm, get the confirmation. We would be much appreciated. Just share the event proposal at once. Try to convince him in a very few words that this event is important. Just pick the most. Now, for instance, if these people are very busy, they don't like to read lengthy paragraphs, they don't like to listen to a telephone conversation very long. Try to inspire them, try to pick their point, pick what they learn the person, pick what they like, what is their very passionate area. You hit into that, talk in an inspiring way, and then get the confirmation. Yes, so sir, madam, or whoever, if you can confirm your participation before this date
Excuse
or
me,
on
miss,
this date, it would be really helpful. Yeah.
excuse me, what is the best way if we can ask him for a date, or he can suggest
Yeah.
a date? So
No, don't
what
let
is the
him
best?
to suggest. No, don't let him or her to suggest, because these people, as I said, very busy now. So you have to work to your timeline, right? So I may say, ask them in a very polite way. Tell them this is really helpful. If you can confirm just go through our proposal and confirm your participation on this date. Give them a date, like at least give them a week. I may say maximum of week. But if it's a last minute cancellations, I may say, don't approach a very strange speaker. Now, for instance, the event is next Friday. So today is Monday, and or Tuesday, we may say today is Tuesday. This particular speaker has told you, okay, for this thing, I won't be able to come. This is due to an unavoidable reason. I can't come to the workshop. So what are you going to do? Are you going to approach a totally strange speaker? I may say, don't do it. I may say, approach a speaker whom you had a good relationship, whom you know at least a bit. Then it's easy. They know what you are doing, what sort of work you are doing in the club. I may say, approach such. You have to have separate lists. This is you are Janit. Oh yeah, Janit, I think. I may say, keep separate lists, best alternatives whom you know for the very first time, and very good speakers whom you have worked previously. If the deadline is closer, approach a person whom you know very well, who knows about the club, who knows about the work they do, and who are very passionate of what they're doing. I may say, if that happens, approach such person. If you have enough time, approach another person. Don't go after people who would not give you a confirmation on the date. And you have the right to suggest the date. If you ask them to suggest, it won't happen, I'm telling you. I think
And
I
I think
answered.
it's the best way to ask through a email, no, not from a call. Yes.
Don't do it through a telephone conversation, so that you have the proof. So always try to maintain professionalism. Like, whenever you can call them first, I think the best thing to do is first drop them a mail, like giving a and another important thing I'm going to tell you. In this email, don't put very lengthy paragraph. No one is going to read, because they are very busy people. What you are telling, like, mention it in a very short and crispy manner, where like people would, once they read 1 or 2 lines, they could understand what he's going through. And then attach the event proposal or a promotional flyer. And then after sending the mail, you can contact him or her. contact and tell, I think I sent you a mail yesterday or today morning. Were you able to go through it? And then you can ask. If not, you can ask them to go through it. And if yes, you can tell them, okay, this is what we are going to do. If they are okay to have a, now these people are not very willing to listen over phones. I may say, arrange a short meeting with them. We would like to talk more about this. How about having a short meeting with you? Because other than convincing in or over a telephone, where once you go there and talk to them, it's very easy to convince a person. So arrange a short meeting that we would like to present this. So you can go ahead at least with a presentation or just orally. Very nicely, you have to present the things. Go meet them, and then after the meeting or after the telephone conversation, again drop a mail. So as per the conversation we had, we would love if you like. We would like to get your confirmation on this before this date, because we are running through a plan. So get it always in written. Keep that proof in written, because they know, and even you know, that they have like, once if something bad happens, you can present it. So you confirmed it, so you're not here. I mean, maintain that professionalism throughout. Keep email conversations. For even a very little fact, keep email conversations. That's a good advice that I can give you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And are there any other questions, Sashri?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Yamini, my question is now, we usually have a lot of websites and tools and software for various tasks that we do day to day. Do we have such websites, tools, or apps that are specifically tailored in order to plan events as event planners?
Yeah, I may say there's this amazing app. Have you all heard of ClickUp? It says ClickUp. Just Google it and say CLICKUP. ClickUp. Just Google it and see. It's very user friendly, but it's a matter of spending some time to learn. Once you learn it, you can very easily plan an event. It has everything. Just you all can Google it and see. You have to purchase, like not purchasing, it's free. You have to get that app, and everything is there. You can include your whole organizing team in that. You can assign tasks. You can overlook whether this person has completed this task, because once the task is completed, he or she can update it, the task completed. You can chat there. You can have chats, conversations. So whenever you are planning it, you don't want to call her or go and meet her. Just drop a text there, so that you can have the conversation with the whole team. And there's a checklist there. You can have a template, so you can put your items in that and monitor. There's a Google Calendar, so you can set particular dates in that and monitor. So you will have reminders. You don't want to keep it like in Google Sheets. You don't get reminders, but try to you get used. Try to what do you call? Try to embrace technology. Try to work with technology. So just go to that app, and you will take some time to learn that. I think the most interesting thing is, once you get signed it up, you will get a coach. A coach will come up from that app, and she or he will assist you in whatever the questions you have. I think it will be useful for all of you. Any other questions, or shall I move to the presentation?
Is it that app with a colorful logo with about 4 colors in a gradient?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Okay.
I have dropped the link to the chat. I
Yeah.
guess that is the. Is there any more questions, guys? Y'all can unmute yourself and ask, or y'all can type in the chat box.
Just speak up. I would I would love if you all can speak up, because I think I'm not afraid in you all, so you can speak up.
So there is a question here. Please give some tips to create an agenda for a big event that will make the event interesting to participants. Okay.
Tips to create an agenda for big event. Now, to answer this particular what the question, you need to identify what the event is. What sort of an event? You can have different events. So you need to identify what is the event that you're going to have. According to that only, you can plan the agenda. Planning the agenda, it's a matter of a teamwork. Even one person can't do it alone. So I may say, to make it interesting, if it's a youth empowerment project, just go to the United Nations website. Just go to follow. If you all are using social media platforms, right? While searching for gossips, you should also do that. I mean, it's important to embrace learn from what other countries do, what other people do, what other organizations in our country do. Follow those pages and learn things. Creativity doesn't come at once. Go to those websites, see how they have done that. Then you will start like generating ideas. Okay, we can incorporate this thing to our event and we can add these things. It's a matter of creativity, the amount of the brain that you put on the particular thing. If you like a particular thing, you can move forward. I mean, to create a creative agenda, first you need to identify what the event is, what a particular event is, what are you going to have, what is the audience would going to learn from this. According to that only, you have to plan the activities. You have to sit together with your team, put you in that situation. If you were the audience, if you are invited for an event, what are you going to expect? Think in that angle. Don't think as a coordinator or a member of this organizing committee. Then I know when you think in that line, it's something very huge. Okay, this would be like this, and it's very, with all glitz and glamour, it's very nice. But don't think it in that way. Think as a member of the audience, and then if you are to participate in that, think, what am I going to gain from this? Why should I go for this event? Think in that line and plan the things. I think that's the best tip I can. I have planned an activity. You will understand it better when I reach to that stage. And we'll move to the presentation. If you are an excellent event coordinator, you should, as I previously mentioned, work with your team and have a clear idea of what you are going to do. And estimate duration for each task. Now, in the checklist, you have mentioned how much you should mention, how much time you are going to spend for this. For AV materials, audio visual materials, the promotional things, what is the time you are going to have? Maybe from October 1st to October 8th. By October 8th, you should finish all the promotional materials and send for print. For that, you need to monitor things. So the task of the event coordinator is to estimate.
Sorry for the interruption. Is the present? We can't see the presentation.
Here you have that problem.
Yeah, it is not visible.
I don't know what's wrong. Maybe like you can't see it at all, is it?
Yeah, we can't see it at all. We can just see the File Explorer window.
Oh my God.
It is not visible yet. Miss, when you're sharing your screen, have you selected the whole desktop option?
Yes, that's the thing. I check my settings. I don't know what has gone wrong. Still the same. I'll try this for the last time and see.
Is there an option to select the software that we should screen share for you?
As in, yeah, if you can you play the presentation from your end?
I'll try. But is it the same?
If you are a host,
PPT
I
as
think you could.
a-
If you're a host of the conversation, you could, I think. I think there's something wrong.
we can't see the PPT yet.
Still, is it in a side corner? I mean,
No, we can't see the PPT at all. We can just see a small two gray windows in the top in the right hand and in the right
like,
hand
can
corner.
someone from your end, if they're a host, can someone from your end play the presentation?
Yeah.
If it's
Wait. Yeah,
Can we try that? Until that, we can answer some questions. The participants, you all can ask some questions in that case.
Here, I'm Hiro. So, can you hear me? Yeah. When it comes to these online events, now with the situation, probably in the future we will have to limit most of these things to the as online events. So the main thing is like this, the technical issues. So definitely it will harm the quality of the event, but other than getting ready earlier, so is there anything we can do? This means both for the participants of the event and the organizers of the event, because now even though we are here as participants, we will be organizers. These organizers will be participants. So from both that end, what we can do?
A good question. I can't remember your name. A good question. Lahir, yeah. Okay. A good question. I may relate a very recent example for this. Now, as you said, after this COVID thing, we have confined to do virtual meetings, even throughout, even at our workplaces, even the very slightest meetings, we are having it virtually. So, Lahiro, the thing that I have to say is, you go and see an particular event organized by, we may say, UN Women or United Nations General Assembly in Geneva, still you will find technical faults. I mean, you can't help it. It's a failure. The most recent example is, I'm currently doing a live discussion series with gender experts. So in that case, I was like very well organized. Even we are maintaining 2 offices. So I was in one office, some people were in another office. We were logged in with different Wi-Fi routers, even SLT fiber networks and different routers. We were that much organized. You won't believe, for our what do you call that, bad time or good time, still you will face unavoidable technical faults. I mean, you can't help that, Lahiro. It's something we need to anticipate, and even the participants should understand that they should, if they are engaged in such work, they should understand that technical faults, we can't avoid those. So, I mean, the best thing is you can, as you said, other than planning, if it is a technical fault, I mean, you can't help that. you need to adjust it anyhow, and the participants should have an idea of what we are doing. I think the best thing would be to carry on. You may, I mean, if you're sharing a screen, you can either, if this is not working or if a video is not playing, you can have an interactive discussion. I mean, whatsoever, shift into the best other thing that you can do. Think if it's a physical event, if you are not, if something didn't work, you will go to the other alternative. In the similar way, if you're doing a virtual thing, I mean, the best thing would be if the video is not working, if the screen sharing is not working, if something happened beyond your plan or below that, move to the other alternative. Keep everyone informed. Like, you know, to do even a Facebook live thing, even though we think it is a very simple thing, it's a very huge task. You need to have a team. I was in the notion when I first started this, I can manage everything. No, you can't. I mean, it's best to have a team to maintain the chat box, to see those technical, and this technical person should be very important. Select the most best fit technical person where he can adjust things quickly. I mean, still there comes a point where the technical person even can't adjust to things. It's the technology and the network you have. I mean, plan the things. If this goes wrong, if this video doesn't play, what are we going to do? What the speaker is going to do? And suppose a host, her or his connection totally lost, and he was the one who was leading the event. The best, I mean, the idea of making everyone in the term aware of what you are doing is this: if that particular thing happened, who would come forward to take that part from the other end? I mean, you should have that alternative plan. If one particular segment didn't work, how are you going to move to the other thing? If a video doesn't play, who is going to present it? Who is going to have an interactive session? I mean, it can be an impromptu, unplanned thing. Whoever who should come forward and do something to, cover that gap. I mean, that's the best advice I can give from what I've experienced. Other than that, you can't help technical faults. It's not our fault sometimes. And there's a limit that we can control technical faults. Did I answer your question, Zahid?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move to the presentation. Yeah, now we are in the segment turn to you. Now we have identified what are the basic checklists, what are the basic things we need to learn from the planning and agenda. Now we are going to move how we are going to turn this checklist to a visual master plan. Can we move to the other slide? Yeah, this is a sample. I mean, checklist, you can have it as a document or a Google document. That's fine. It's with the coordinator and the other people. If you are planning a high level event, this may be helpful for you in future, when hopefully when everything will be settled from another many years, I may say. You need to have, if you're planning a high level event, just keep such chart as you see in the screen. Divide the months. Maybe it's a 2-month preparation, a 1-month preparation. Take your checklist into a visually appealing thing where everyone can see it, all the team members can see it. Task 1, delegating with the audience, inviting the people. In the this particular diagram, mark it in a different color. This particular task should be completed by, as it is said, March 1st. And the next task, who is going to complete it? It is missing in this part. Who is going to complete it? You have to elaborate, summarize the whole checklist that you maintain in a Google document into this format. You should summarize everything. Just extract only the major things, and then you have to color as it is. Who is going to do the first task and when are you going to complete it? So that everyone can have an idea where are we standing. Now, if you are maintaining checklists separately, now, for instance, if there are 5 persons as A, B, C, D, E, if this person A has a checklist, she knows only what she has completed. Even sometimes the coordinator doesn't know and the other people doesn't know. But if we put everything, what all other people are doing into one visually appealing document like this and mark the status, we know where we are and we can plan. It's easy. If we know where we are, we know what to plan. Now, it's simple as such. If you're hiding any disease from you, and if you're hiding it from the doctor, he or she would not diagnose it, will not be able to diagnose what the disease is. It's similar to this. If you are to understand where you stand now, it's very important to maintain such documents. Shall we move to the other slide? Okay, there's, I don't know if the time permits. Do we have time, Ashri?
We'll try to finish it before 8:10. So
Yeah.
for this activity,
In that case, shall I skip the activity or what? Okay, we'll do it like this. Now, this is a small activity. You can just drop your answers very quickly. Now, imagine you are a final year student and you are in whatever club, maybe ISEC, Rotaract, LED, or whatever club. You were asked by one of your vice presidents or higher team member to organize a youth forum for undergraduates, right? Just that is the only point they mention, youth forum for undergraduates. It's up to you to select what is the topic that you're going to cover, what are the areas that you're going to cover. So since like most of you all are stepping out of the university in 3 to 4 years, this will be very beneficial for the people. So we need to highlight what are the corporate sector expectations. This is the only clue that they give. So if you are to organize, if you are nominated as an event coordinator, how you are going to do it? I mean, what are the main topics that you're going to include here? What type of activities are you going to include in this 5-hour session? Just like you can think and just drop whatever that comes to your mind, just to give you an idea. We are running out of time actually.
yes. You can type in your answers.
Or type or you can talk,
Yeah,
whatever
sure.
that is easy for you. What sort of activities or what sort of topics that you're going to choose? Who are you going to invite? Just very quickly you can move ahead. We can make it interactive. If you can talk, it would be really
Please
easy for us.
unmute yourself and you all can speak up, guys.
Is there anyone who is willing, a volunteer to talk? Okay, since we are running out of time, I will help you in this task. I know you can't do it at once. One has industry expectations from a fresh graduate. Okay. Okay, we'll move ahead. Thank you for your response. Now, this youth search forum, you're going to talk about now. All of you might not step to the corporate sector, but I know most of you would. So if you are to step into the corporate sector, what do you expect? Like, what do you want to know? I mean, if you are to go to this event, the main reason would be we don't know about what the corporate sector is and what they are doing. So we want to learn something. That is the perception of the undergraduate or the who wish to participate in the event. But on the other hand, the sponsors, we should also target sponsors because we can't do an event without a sponsor. So on the other hand, what the sponsor thinks is how this event is going to benefit us, right? As you all think how this is going to benefit them. So in that case, we can, when we think in the line of the audience, you can, organize like things like you can have a panel discussion, right? This is very important. Panel discussion about topics like leadership skills, because in corporate sector, it's very competitive. To be a good leader, to be a good team lead, it's very competitive inside. It's not like the university. It's very competitive. So what what are the leadership qualities, and topics like team building, which is the most important thing. If you're going to the corporate sector, team building is very important. If you can't work as a team, you can't move forward. So focus on such topics, and you can have one panel discussions, because people are not going to listen to panel discussions so long. And the important tip is the speakers, the panelists, and the moderator. Those people should be like, this discussion shouldn't be boring. It's up to you to choose who are very interactive, who are kind of, what do you call, famous in the field, and who can communicate. And then keynotes, you can include like one keynote speech, because if you're reaching sponsors, you have to get people from those companies as well. These speakers, I can remember back in 2016, it was the Toastmaster, Dhananjay Hettiarachchi, who joined the discussion, which, you know, people, many came to see him, what he speaks, to see how he speaks. I can remember, because he was very interactive. He was doing some practical segments, he was visually showing things, he was moving around the audience. You need to focus on such aspects if you are going to plan an event. Select the best speakers, the best panelists, and the best sessions that you can line up. It's only seeing those things, even a sponsor or even the audience would join you. And on the other hand, from a sponsor's perspective, how this will benefit them. You can say most of these people are from HR or marketing or management fields. So they can, they are going to step out of the university in another year or two. So these individuals will be very much beneficial for your companies. That's how you can promote your event. You can show how they are, I mean, how eligible these people are. I mean, considering all those things, you need to be very tactful and very creative in planning an event. If your event is boring, no one would remain. Keep in mind that it should be very, what do you call, lively. The next slide. We'll quickly move on to the slide. A social media campaign. As I said earlier, it is, you can move to the other slide as well. A social media campaign is very important. Why do we need a social media campaign? You can do an event, you can have everything, but if your social media campaign is not good, who is going to see? How are people going to see that you all are doing such thing? Because nowadays people are very much engaged in social media. You need to decide what platforms you are going to post these things. If it's a youth thing, I know young people are mostly on Instagram. So you can post those on Instagram. You can focus Instagram, Twitter, and you need to select what are the other platforms very much suitable for this. Hashtags. I hardly see, like, I very rarely see people using, you know, a unique, if you can create a unique hashtag for your event, it would give a real value. I mean, for instance, now the recently what I did was, and this hashtag shouldn't be copied from another campaign, international campaign or campaign which run earlier. It should be very unique. It should give the impression whenever you see this hashtag, oh, this is that event done by LED. So you have to get, you need to get that idea. Be very unique. Create an own hashtag for the whole campaign. You should use this hashtag, go hashtags, for the whole campaign to promote your event. And then SMART goals. You know, those goals should be very specific. And then content optimization. Social media platforms, even though your flyers are very creative and all, content should be, it's a number one thing. You don't want to write, you can't write lengthy things on social media, no one is going to read. So from that 1 or 2 words, don't use many words. I've seen people who have typed like lengthy paragraphs. Who is going to read those? No one. So like type 1 or 2 words which grab the attention of people. Like, I can give you a tip: before you start a online or whatever event, before giving the information about the event, who is the speaker, who, what are you going to talk, before communicating that message, try to give a post, try to create a post, a visually appealing post, which gives a slight idea, where you can, අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ කුතුහලය දනවන විදිහට, where you can evoke curiosity. මොකද්ද මේ වෙන්නේ යන්නේ මොකද්ද මේක කියලා you have to create a talking point. So you have to create that one first post to evoke curiosity without giving much details about the event. You can slightly mention one or two. Don't mention the topic. The main focus should be the the visual in the flyer. Everyone should talk what is going to happen, or you should create a what you call a very talking point in this thing. Then only after day or two you can start another flyer, gradually another flyer, giving you have to release information gradually. That's a smart approach if you can practice it. And using social media influencers, you know who social media influencers are, people who are having a big huge fan base. That's the best thing to promote. Sometimes your page or your profile would not have enough followers, but the best thing would be choose influencers who have a big fan base. Then you can ask them to promote, invite them to your event, ask them to promote it in their platforms. Since they have a good fan base, whenever they promote an event, so for this you need to create very good flyers and visually appealing content flyers. So ask them to post it in their platforms. Then people will start to talk about it. People will share, do it constantly. And then another option is boosting. You can do inorganic boosting. You can pay and boost your event. And the other important thing is during the event date, when the day is happening, it's while you do before the event, during the event date also, you have to be very energized. You have to post everything. This happened, you had good stories, like keep the people engaged. And then it applies for after the event as well. Can we move to the other slide? And the important topic is risk management, as I told earlier. No matter what efforts you put in planning, there are always some incidents ready to wreck your event. You move to the other slide. Because be it a virtual session, a physical session, it's always, whether you have planned it very well, you have to anticipate risk. So what do you need for that? You need a contingency plan. Contingency plan is something where you create along with the checklist. If a risk happens, what are we going to do? What if this happens? Answer that question. What if a technical failure comes? What if a speaker cancels? What if a sponsor withdraw their sponsorship? You need to answer these questions and keep separate answers for this. And that's how you can create a contingency plan and act accordingly. And the other thing, other slide, please. So I think I elaborated on this. The event is over. So what's next? What is going? Are we going to wrap up our things and go home and sleep after that? No. We need to talk what happened in the event. Even though you did it successfully, there are no 100% successful events. Even though you did it like 90% successfully, still you have to evaluate that 10% failure. It's only identifying that you can do a better event in future. The next slide. Okay, this I pretty much explained earlier. So you have to gather your team and you have to evaluate as the coordinator what went wrong for you. What do you think you have done better? And then the skills of the team, how these team members act. Did they do a good job? What were their plus points? Always start from the plus points and admire them. And then what went wrong for them, how we can minimize this. And then we can move on to the process improvements. What went wrong in the process? Did we follow the agenda? What went wrong? So the example, while I was doing this youth search forum, you won't believe, on the day of the event, one speaker cancelled. That was, the event had to start by 9:30. By 7:30, that particular person informed that due to an unavoidable thing, he can't come. So you can imagine the situation. It's a big event. So luckily, since we had a network, we were able to convince. That's why I asked you to keep. There may things happen. You don't want to panic. Just keep a list who are friendly with us, who have worked with us before, and then That's why your social media plan should be very well done. So if they are following you, they would see, oh, they are going to plan such event. They were talking about this event. So when a speaker cancel and when you start contacting another speaker who have worked with you, they know, okay, this has happened. This is happening these days. You don't want to convince even. So luckily, we contacted a speaker who was working with us closely, and we were able to convince him, and we could do the session. It was a rare, one of the most unforgettable moments in my life where I learned a lot. It was a learning point. So also, it will boost our morale after event. Can we move to the other? So the 3 golden points, if you are to run a successful event either virtually or physically, plan thoroughly, execute the plan accordingly. Like the plan, try to execute it, do it in practice. Don't confine it to a piece of paper. Be very active, energized, love what you do, and then try to minimize risks. For that, you need to have that alternative plan. You can't say when a coordinator is under pressure when she or he is handling an event. So the team should support the coordinator. It's a very plus point that I admire. The team should be very supportive to the coordinator or the team lead, because sometimes things would go blank for a coordinator given the workload, but still the coordinator should be on a sound mentality. Support him or her, avoid the risks. Each member should, the team members, they should not wait until the coordinator say. They can act accordingly. In that way we can support. I think the presentation is over.
Yeah, if y'all have any questions, y'all can unmute yourself and ask Ms. Yamini. This is the end of the session. So,
you can write to me. Write to me or call me. I have mentioned my email address in the next slide. You can either write to me or call me. I can answer your questions because unfortunately the time is running out. So I may have to wind up. If you still have questions, I can answer. I at least want to know whether this was helpful for you all. Honestly, if you were able to learn something, it's the point that matters for me.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
Usually, when we are organizing an event with regarding to 2 or 3 resource persons, I had an issue with regarding tackling the time slots. That means
Okay.
sometimes for the morning session, one person would be say, yeah, I'm okay. Then for the next session, the second person won't be okay. That means
Okay.
so I had the issue was how to tackle with that problem with regarding time slots and the resource person's ability.
This is about a physical event or a virtual event?
Physical event.
Physical event. So
Yeah.
suppose you want a resource person, maybe we'll say for October 15, you need all 3 resource persons, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, I may say, as I said earlier, you don't ask them to, give them, now you know the deadline, it's 15. So give them we may say 15th, we may say 9th October. By 9th, you contact the person, drop an email. By 9th October, it would be much appreciated if you can confirm your participation for this event, communicate in an email. And then the same for the other. If you feel that they are in delay in responding or they have any issues, I may say skip it. As I explained the previous person, skip it and go for the other alternative. Don't wait until those 3 are not the only 3 you can get for this event. That's why you need to seek alternatives. Reach for them. If you don't get that risk until waiting until the last minute, especially if it's a physical event, don't get that burden. Try to be avoid panicking moments at the last moment. So if you feel this particular person is not coming on date, just forget it and inform her, and then go to the other alternative. That's what I can say. I mean, it will save your time and everything.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So we are running out of time, and if you all have more questions, you all can write to Miss Yamini. She'll answer. So we have been here for about 2 hours, and we have also reached the end of today's session. So I would like to invite Ms. Thedini Vikramasinghe to deliver the thanking note. Thedini, it's over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Our keynote speaker, Ms. Yamini Pereira, the project coordinator of Sri Lanka Development Journalist Forum, ED of the LED KLN, the organizing committee of today's session, and all the other participants. On behalf of the LED KLN, I would like to pay our honest gratitude to our keynote speaker, Ms. Yamini Pereira, for accepting our invitation and having this valuable session on event organizing tactics. So, Madam, thank you very much for sparing your valuable time with us in spite of your busy schedules. And I would further like to pay our special gratitude to our executive board of the LED KLN and the organizing committee for organizing this valuable session. And Ms. Shashri, thank you for moderating this session amazingly. And also the special thanks goes to all the participants for joining with us. And we appreciate your keenness for learning with LED KLN and hope that you will be with us in future to learn new things and to be equipped with knowledge, skills, and positive attitudes. So thank you very much. Good luck and stay safe.
Yeah, I would have to say a few words. Thank you all for inviting me. I didn't say no when you all invited because this was my university. I know what the situation is as an undergraduate. It was with immense pleasure that I accepted when Lakshika contacted me. I hope you all know if you want to know something related to this. I'm happy to help. I love helping people. So I think this session was helpful for you all, and you will incorporate these facts when you're planning events in the future. Thank you all. Thank you, the LED team, everyone. You are very, very supportive when I was planning, like having initial meetings before the today. Thank you, everyone. And those who participated, those who asked questions, and those who came allocating their time. Thanks a lot. Good luck,
Thank you.
all.
Yeah. Stay safe. Let's wrap up this session. Thank you.